everyone. Welcome to another episode of JKL Media Reviews. This is one of our special one-off episodes, and we will be discussing some of our favorite series finales. I don't know why this struck me, but this is something that I wanted to do. We've done our favorite books and things like that, a compilation type thing. This will be similar. We don't know each other's choices. So there might be some overlap. If there is, we're gonna say, yeah, that was mine too, and here's my thoughts about it. I don't think there's gonna be a lot of that. I think maybe one or two through the whole thing. And we have three each that we can discuss. So I am here with my co-hosts Lou. Hi, Lou.
Hello, everyone.
And Jesse.
Hello, Karen. And it is a tradition that to celebrate our birthdays, we try to. We did Shawshank Redemption to celebrate Lou's birthday one year, and this is Karen's choice. And surprise, in June, we'll be doing another Springsteen episode because I forced my
It's your
friends to do
birthday.
it. Yes.
You don't force us. We do things for each other that we end up loving.
Yeah.
So I hope this is also enjoyable for you two and for the people that listen to us. I don't know how to start this. Do you guys have any desire? Do you want to flip a coin as to who's going to go first
I
or
think
Why don't we'll do,
honorable mentions first, I think.
oh, because our
yeah?
honorable mentions may make some of the others. So let's do honorable mentions last. I'm
Okay.
going to quote Lou. Lou
Oh,
often says endings are hard. And
Hmm.
so I think the idea of you, in often case, you're very sad that a series you love is ending. And so you go in there with mixed emotions, and there are many series finales that don't deliver. And I won't
Definitely.
name because some that deliver for others won't deliver for others. Like I know many people think The Sopranos is an absolutely brilliant ending. Other people think it's horrible. This is all very subjective, and I think it's going to tell us a lot about ourselves as well as it's want. So I think Karen, in honor of her birthday, you should get to go first. So we'll do Karen and then me and then Lou. How's that?
sure.
Okay. I'm going to pull the trigger on one that we maybe
Is
overlap
this,
on.
are we doing reverse order for third pick, second first, or
Let's
I'm
do
just
three, two,
going
one.
and
Yeah. If
okay.
you did number them, let's do 3, 2, 1.
I didn't.
Okay, let's do one, two,
These are
three.
all, they're way up there.
Okay.
I didn't number them at all.
Okay.
But I want to pull the trigger on this one. I'm going to say MASH, goodbye, farewell, and amen. I don't know if it overlaps with either of you. Yes, no? Yep. I figured, Lou, it would overlap with you. This is something that is near and dear to my heart. It's one of the things, it's one of the shows that I grew up with, MASH. Franklin Pierce, my last name, my maiden name is Pierce. So, when you're growing up with something and you have something in common, you're like, yay. I was the same age as the group from Friends. So I identified with them that way as well. So just in this way, MASH was such an event as well. It still holds the title for the largest audience of a TV show finale. It's not the largest audience overall. That was a Super Bowl that took place afterwards, but as far as scripted television, it still holds that title. And I think it will in perpetuity because of how things work now with streaming. We just don't get that kind of event anymore. And it was one of a kind. I actually, when we moved to Virginia from California, it just happened to coincide with the MASH Smithsonian display where they had a lot of they had a tent and they had props from the show and they had scripts and stuff. And I went to see that. I have a MASH shirt from that and a bandana. Just randomly, I got a bandana. It was amazing to see that. And it was just something that affected me growing up. And it's still, I watched it yesterday and it still brings me to tears several points throughout the episode. And Winchester's relationship with the roving band and how that turned out with them all being killed at the end and him determining that music isn't his refuge anymore. The whole thing about BJ leaving and then having to come back, that had implications for Pierce as well because he wasn't able to say goodbye to his first compadre either. And I feel like that would have really wrecked him. We see that with him not being able to say goodbye, with BJ not being able to say goodbye, and that having a resolution at the end as well. We also have our chaplain losing his hearing, which is no good deed goes unpunished. He saves some lives, but he ends up losing his hearing and just so many things happening in this episode. The major thing is Pierce having that, I don't know, like a breakdown where he translates this horrible thing, a traumatic thing that happened to a good thing. Like they're playing on the beach, they're having fun on the bus, and they're raucous. And slowly we learn that's not what happened at all, that he was on a bus with wounded soldiers and they had to hide from enemy combatants. And in doing so, he shushed a woman and that woman ended up killing her child. And that has to break people. That I commend him for coming through it as well as he did. And then them telling us what they're going to be doing after the war. I really have a love for this episode. I'm gonna throw it to you, Lou, and let you talk about it as well.
Yeah, it's my number two all-time favorite series ending. And I think you'll find with all my picks, I tend to lean towards ones that are able to do a retrospective of the entire series and tie everything back together again at the end, which is a convenience that scripted drama can do that you don't get in real life. You might reflect upon it on your own, but you don't actually interact with everybody that you've known and relive moments like they get to do in TV shows. I thought the fact that and this was a big deal, but because this was not just an episode, this was like a 2 hour movie as well. It has a similar title to another show that whose ending I really like, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But it's just to see how these people have been changed since the beginning of the series. And it's funny that because the show lasted like, I think 4 or 5 times longer than the actual conflict went on as well. So it's a weird
Correct.
dynamic going on there. The things are very touching for all the characters in that they're irrevocably changed by what they went through. You mentioned Father Mulcahy being permanently deafened. We have Hawkeye with his breakdown. And then I think the one that touched me the most, oddly enough, was Winchester saying that he always used to use music as an escape from the reality of the war. And he says now, anytime I'm going to listen to music in the future, it's going to remind me of the war. So I thought that was a very touching moment from one of the more prickly characters in the show. And this is a show that has a couple of burned in my brain moments. I think the other one is the documentary style episode that they did where Father Mulcahy is saying that he's watching the surgeons operating over a patient and they're warming their hands over because they've opened up his body and they're warming
Yep.
their hands over the body of this person that they're operating on. There's just certain, yeah, moments that are just burned in my brain. And the series was quite the thing because it predates streaming and even the internet, and it's one of the last shows that lived in the old model of TV viewing and reviewing and the critics and whatnot because there was this always this gap between the show and when reviews you'd have to either wait for the newspaper or whatever or your magazine, and now it's all instantaneous and a lot of times you get reactions before the show's even aired. So this was the that anticipation thing that is lost in today's world is something that I will always treasure. It's on the age of instant gratification. This type of experience will not be available to today's audiences. And I feel sad about that because I think the only thing that we still have close to that is with streaming. Some shows get released all in one day, and others do it week to week. And I think the week to week model is a better experience overall for viewers because there's that conversation that takes place between episodes that you don't get if you get like a total dump of it. And you basically have to monitor your social media usage if you're interested in a particular show because somebody out there is going to spoil it for you, either in the title or of their episode or whatever, because everybody's got to do that clickbait, get those clicks. So they'll say, so and so died in this episode, and I haven't seen the episode yet. Why did you tell me that? So yeah, it's just a show that beyond the premise of the show, it just evokes a lot of fond memories of the way watching media used to be. Not saying I obviously prefer today's world where I can watch whatever I want when I want to pretty well,
Sure.
but there was a better emotional arc as a viewer, I think, because of the you were restricted to watching the show when it aired. You couldn't even, if you missed it, you couldn't even watch, you'd have to wait for a rerun. We didn't have the DVDs or and things like that either. So yeah, it was a TV finale from a different era and a great cast of characters, and it was nice to revisit a lot of the dynamics with them during this finale. It doesn't do it as much as the other ones I'm going to talk about, but within the confines of the premise of the show, I thought they did a really good job. And this was a bunch of characters that we really wanted to say farewell to, and I think the show did a good job of giving everybody their moment. And of course, gotta love the last little bit where Hawkeye gives Hot Lips a hot kiss before he goes.
Yeah, because there was always that tension between them.
Yeah,
I love that episode where they're stuck together in a hut. That's one that you think about a lot. That black and white reporter
yeah,
episode, that was also a two-parter.
yeah,
I remember the episode where they have dreams. That was another one that's ingrained. And I feel like what you're talking about with it being weekly and not being able to binge and not being able to go back and watch, there is a a time to digest what you saw.
yeah.
And I feel like that is missing from what we do today. I agree with you. I like the way it is now. I'm all in for watching a show as it comes out and to be able to rewatch and not have to tape anything. And it's just a bummer what we had to deal with before. But I will forever miss that feeling of having it have such an impact every week. This episode also, it had so many people watching that, like, in some cities, their water would go down between in the commercial breaks because people would flush their toilet and
Like
all at the
Super
same
Bowls.
time. Exactly. And power surging and places hosting parties to watch it. It was just, it was an experience, and I do really miss that. How about you, Jesse?
So this did not make my list. I am not a fan of this finale. It's too depressing to me. And I realize
Mm.
criticizing a TV show about a war being depressing is, huh? But it was too depressive to me. I remember
Okay.
being incredibly excited to watch the end. This was appointment TV. I I can think of one other where everyone was excited about, oh, it's going to be the final episode, maybe a couple others. And just I've never rewatched it. If you say the word MASH to me, I think of the Father Mulcahy statement that you guys just talked about, that a black and
Mm-hmm.
white episode where the doctors warming their hands. I will see clips of every once in a while and I go, damn, this was an amazing show. And I used to make jokes. I was hard to believe I was not a very good at going to bars and making friends or getting to know people or asking young women to dance. And I would often go, if I leave here right now, I could be home in time to watch the 10:30 rerun of MASH at my house.
Yep.
Absolutely acknowledge that it is an amazing finale. It is, many people consider, when you look at a list of the best, it's included. I agree with you, Karen, based on streaming the way things are now and the amount of choices, nothing will ever reach that level because we don't watch anything except possibly for sporting events at the same time as a country or a world anymore. Definitely deserves to be on the list, just not one I personally would pick.
Okay, cool. Who wants to go next?
Since Jesse's the odd man out,
Yeah.
why don't you
Oh,
go?
yeah, you go next.
All right. I'm going to pick one that I think was obviously most of these are, but this one was as
Hmm.
perfect as I think you can be, and that is The Promise for Justified. Justified was a series that had its ups and downs. I think season two of Justified is as strong a season of television as you can get. It had a great villain, it had a great set, great supporting cast. Timothy Oliphant as
Mm,
Raylan, amazing. I loved everything about it. Walter Goggins playing Boyd was a great villain that also was also a friend. And the episode ends with a line that was from the original short story that the series was based on, and that's Raymond Givens talking to Boyd, and they go, and we dug coal together,
mm.
that they had that bond together. So I love Justified. And at the end of seeing that series, end of that episode, I know there's been a couple of shows coming back. They brought the character back. But as far as that, I went, I turned off the TV and I said, that's a way to end a series.
Yeah, I agree with you. I love that show. It made me a huge fan of Timothy Oliphant. He was also in Deadwood, which
Yes.
was another favorite for me. I loved, and I'm trying to find her name. Margot Martindale as
Yes. Was
Mags. She was a standout.
Yeah, she was the
she
Was
villain of the series.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and how when she won the Emmy, she's like, "Why'd y'all kill me off?" I mean, the
Right,
great thing because she was
right.
a great character,
Yeah.
apple pie, and just yes, just
Yeah, Apple
amazing.
Pie Moonshine, so
Hmm.
good. Todd Stashwick from 12 Monkeys was also in it. Walton Goggins, oh my God, he was so good. And Frenemies, definitely. It was one of those series that if you're of a certain mindset, you can't help but if you like the lawman always looking at people as three-dimensional, which I think Rayland did. He saw the good in all the people he was trying to hunt down. I loved it. So great choice.
I don't really remember the finale, to be honest.
That's okay.
The only thing I really remember about the series is my favorite takeoff of a chase scene is Art chasing somebody, other guy, and I don't remember who it was, but one guy had an oxygen tank and a mask, and I think
Yeah,
Art had broken his leg or something, and so they were like running after each other. It was like in slow motion. It was the funniest thing I ever saw, and I
yes,
that's the memory that I carry from the series out of everything.
Yeah.
yeah,
No, Sam Elliott was in the finale as well. Oh my God,
yeah,
so good. Looking
yeah,
for Ava, essentially, right?
Yep.
yeah. Just a series full, and the young actress who was Meg's like granddaughter or something went on to do other things. I wish I could think of her name now, but yeah,
Caitlin
uh,
Dever,
yeah,
yeah, The
yeah,
Last of Us.
yeah, she's amazing in that.
Yeah, 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 so good.
All right,
Great choice. I love it.
Lou.
Lou, you want to go next?
Sure. I think this one's not going to really surprise anybody, but last line of the series. So, five card stud, nothing wild, and the sky's the limit. I'm talking about, of course, Star Trek: The Next
Mm,
Generation. As I mentioned off the top, I love series
yeah.
that are able to go back and forth and honor what came from the beginning all the way through the end. And this series, well, the story, that's one of the great things about science fiction. You can actualize something like that. And this is the story of Q and Picard again. And Picard is basically going right back to the pilot and traveling through all different time periods and also seeing future changes. And at the same time, he's investigating a spatial anomaly that could potentially bring the end of the universe. That part of the episode is just like the MacGuffin. It doesn't really carry too much weight, but just seeing Picard going through the series, like going back, meeting Denise Crosby again for the first time, knowing what happens to her in the evil skin. And John Delancey is just marvelous as Q, and he's always been the burr in Picard's saddle. And they just, Salt and Pepper, those two just really worked well together. And just the character moments that they have between everybody. These are all characters that we've come to love. Even though my heart will always belong to the original series that I grew up with, I have to recognize that this show had a great cast of characters as well. Data, obviously, Geordi, Riker, Crusher, Troy, they all had their appeals to different segments of the audience. And for a show that faced a pretty significant uphill battle to go against the legend of the original series and start off with a terrible first season, and it really didn't hit its stride till the third season.
Oh, it was terrible.
It's a pretty amazing turnaround. And now, given the advancement of time, I as much as it hurts me to say, I think most people, when they say what's their Star Trek, they're going to say Star Trek: The Next Generation, because us original series fans are dying off, and it's just a passage of time. And I always think of the Weird Al song "White and Nerdy." He says, "Do I pick Captain Kirk or Jean-Luc Picard?" I love that bit. So, yeah, it's just a great series that surprisingly had a string of terrible movies, but
Oh yeah.
like the original series movies were far superior. Even though
Well,
those
every
series
other one.
movies never really caught the flavor of the original series anymore either. But then
Mm,
that was like the passage of time, right? Yeah,
yep.
it's it just invokes a lot of pleasant memories for me. I'm sure there's people out there that could come up with a list of other series finales that are probably better, but that's the thing about these things. It's a Rorschach test for your personality as to which things strike a chord with you. And this one did. And I was a long time, not hater, but a standoffish fan of the series because I had and still do have so much love for the original series. I still like those characters better, but the structure of this show was much more an ensemble cast, whereas the original series was basically the three main leads, and the rest were very subordinate characters that very barely got any screen time or character development. And I think the net result is that the Next Generation is ends up being a stronger show because it spread the wealth amongst more characters. And I think that as far as science fiction series finales go, this one is pretty hard to top. There's been some other ones. I think the Farscape one is pretty good. Babylon
Mm.
5 is not bad either. But then there's other ones that I just can't, I'm not happy with at all, like Quantum Leap. I don't know why they
Oh,
did that weird ending for that one,
Yeah,
but
cool.
this is one of the better ones.
yeah, I agree with you. It was on my honorable mentions. All Good Things is an amazing series finale. But my thing with it is I think that there are other season finales from TNG that were better. Best of Both Worlds, I think, is a little better. And I don't know. And I agree with you. The first season was abysmal. Encounter at Farpoint, which is the pilot, is one of the worst episodes of the show. And it's really interesting to see the dichotomy between how horrible that episode was and then the ending on such a high note. And I'm one of those people that I'm a little younger than you, so TNG was quote unquote my Star Trek. Although I really, before TNG came out, I had watched the original series, the cartoon, I read novels, all that stuff. I agree with you. I think it was an amazing series finale. It just wasn't in my top three.
I knew you were going to pick it, so it was easy for me to skip this one. Okay, that'll be represented, and I can move on to something else.
All
Yeah,
right.
I absolutely love this. I love all you had to do was ask, the whole idea,
Yeah.
the interactions between each other. I remember fondly that encounter at Farpoint, and it
Yeah,
was new Star Trek. It
Yeah.
was
right.
new Star Trek on my TV show. And
Yeah.
we got to see, I loved Next Generation from the very beginning. I, even bad Star Trek is good Star Trek. I
Yeah.
stand that way to,
I don't know, recent episode series.
eh, and I will give you,
Mm,
I
yeah.
gave up on Enterprise, but which I was shocked because as much as I love,
Scott, yeah.
yeah, Scott Bakula, but it was just amazing. And to see these friends they had gotten to be, and you hear afterwards, I love when Will Wheaton was doing the post Star Trek shows there on Paramount, when talking about once you're part of the Star Trek family, you're always part of the Star Trek family. Beautiful ending, wonderful way to send us off of that world. And yes, even the bad original series movies were enjoyable, except for the Steal the Enterprise and Go Find God episode. That was horrible.
Mm.
Um,
Five.
yeah,
Yeah, five.
that's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. In fact,
Ugh.
The Final Frontier.
there was a God, this was years ago, but there was a local fan club put all six movies in a row, a movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
You paid one and you got to watch it. And during five, they did Star Trek Jeopardy. So
Oh,
that you
very
could watch Jeopardy.
cool.
You could play Jeopardy. And I won a Borg ship during
Ooh,
that.
that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So great choice. Absolutely in character. And yeah, I think perfect choice, Lou.
Agreed. All
Karen?
right, my turn. My other two are ones that I have a feeling neither of you picked. I'll go with my next one, which is The Good Place,
I knew you were going to
whenever
pick
you're
it.
ready. Yeah,
I would
I
guess
do
that.
mention it.
Yeah.
I do mention it a lot on the show. I feel like this show, it's a sitcom, but there are lots of really deep themes that are explored. And the whole meaning of life thing. Chidi is a morality professor and really does discuss a lot of really deep subjects. And there are so many good quotes as well. Every human is a little bit sad all the time because you know you're going to die, but that knowledge is what gives life meaning, is one quote. My favorite quote from the series is in the series finale. Picture a wave. When it crashes, it's gone, but the water is still there. The wave was just a different way for the water to be for a little while, talking about where they think they go after they die, because we know that nothing ever disappears. Our cells are going to exist forever. They existed before us and they'll exist after us. Principles aren't principles when you pick and choose when you're going to follow them. That's one as well. What matters isn't if people are good or bad. What matters is if they're trying to be better today than they were yesterday. So I really do feel like there's a lot of great stuff in this. We do have, it wasn't emphasized, but Eleanor, it's hinted at that she's pansexual, which I love. She's attracted to whoever she's attracted to. And her character, I think, is so complex. We see each of them having their flaws. I think the actors were amazing. It was a renaissance for Ted Danson coming back to TV in a big way. It just, I really loved the series finale, and it settles my mind sometimes to see when it's discussed that maybe we just disappear when we're ready to go. And I feel like they made it so there's a comfort in that thought. I feel very deeply about that. I'm assuming you haven't seen it, Lou, but I do
No.
think Jesse has seen it. So do you have anything to add?
Yeah, absolutely great choice. It once again is on my honorable list because I knew you would pick it. Uh,
Okay.
we've been podcasting for a long time. This, I love the sweetness of the show. I love the humor on the show. I love the growth of the show. It is hard to keep a show fresh when you figure the premise is afterlife, going to the good place, and there is a nice twist at the very end of the
Oh my
first season
goodness.
that in case someone has not watched, I want them to probably they
Dude,
know by now, but it's amazing. I have loved Kristen Bell since Veronica Mars. I will continue to love her forever.
agreed. Yeah.
And seeing her in this was just a joy. It is a show that is wonderful to binge, and I agree with you. It's such a strong way to end a really strong series. So great choice.
Yeah, one of the things that sometimes makes me sad is when a show ends and I still want more. And I feel like the way they ended this show, this was how they always intended to end it. When they ended it this way, I was satisfied. I was okay with it going off the air. And that's rare. It really is rare. I felt that way about MASH too, but some of the other shows that ended, I felt like, oh, I really want to see more. But in this case, I think it was just perfect, the perfect way to wrap up a series. Do you
Absolutely.
have anything to add, Lou, even though you haven't seen it?
No, how could I? I haven't
No.
watched
Okay,
it.
good. All right.
Okay.
Then and we're gonna let you go and you're gonna give us if you have an honorable mention because we want to all give it three. So I'm gonna lead on with you, Karen. The beginning, part one and part two of 12 Monkeys. We watched this series together, and this weekend we were traveling, and my wife and I found tickets to a local production of Our Town,
Oh,
which
Mm, that's
in
cool.
and it was a really well done. And part of the themes of Our Town is we don't pay attention to life.
Mm.
When we watched 12 Monkeys, I quoted the Jason Isbell song, If We Were Vampires, and maybe time running out is a gift. And 12 Monkeys talks about that. For a show that was incredibly complex, incredibly laden with interesting stories and fascinating characters, I think they really stuck the landing. And it also gets bonus points because we went through this journey together and we got to
Oh,
share the ending together. My second choice is going to be 12 Monkeys.
that's fantastic. The
awesome.
beginning is the name of the
Yeah,
episodes, the
beginning
beginning part
part
one and
one
the
and
beginning
part
part
two. Yep.
two, which I love because this show is very cyclical. We get to see the past and the present and the future. I love that we did get a happy ending, even though it didn't look like we were going to do that. Right
Yeah.
at the end, we get that little happy ending of them, of her remembering and
Yeah.
going to be with Cole. And that was fantastic. What a great choice.
Yeah, I'm surprised that that one I've totally forgot about that. But we were all very impressed with that series during its run. And that's the strength was the writing of the show, I think, because it was able to take a character and make them do a total 180 in their behavior, yet we bought it because the journey from point A to point B made sense. So that's a pretty incredible feat to pull off, and I think that that is actually a really good choice, and I would definitely put that on my honorable mentions list. Good choice, Jesse.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
Whose turn is it?
Lou, you got,
Mm,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, because you mashed doesn't count. She already talked about it. So give us another one.
okay. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna break rank here and do something a bit different. I'm gonna talk
That's okay.
about one series finale that really disappointed me,
For
and that
sure.
would be the one from Mr. Robot. It's on par for me with the last episode of Saint Elsewhere, where in Saint
Oh my
Elsewhere,
God.
if you don't remember, that whole series was explained through the eyes of an autistic child in a snow globe. And 12 Monkey, or sorry, Mr. Robot does the same thing. If it would have ended on the penultimate episode, I would have been totally happy. But in the final episode, they reveal that all these things that what's the character was name? Elliot? Was it Elliot? I want to say Elliot, but I can't remember. Whoever Rami Malek
Yeah,
plays.
Elliot
Yeah.
Alderson. Yep.
He it was a figment of his imagination.
Yep.
So that really bummed me out. I didn't like that at all because it was such a great series up until then. So unique and so complicated. But yeah, that one really bummed me out. I don't know if either of one of you has watched that series.
I
I
have,
Yeah.
and it bummed me out as well.
Okay.
I have not, and it is on my list of things I want to
Oh,
watch.
sorry, Jesse.
No, that's okay. I have picked that up from just other people talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is not a shock to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All righty.
Yeah, it was horrible.
All right.
I
So,
agree with you about Samuel Shore too.
yeah.
And
Man,
by the
that was
way, go ahead, Karen.
no, go for it.
So I was going to Austin to work for a company I was working for, and they were opening a new office in Austin. And so the company was so cheap that they rented an apartment for me instead of going to a hotel room. And the apartment, of course, had no TV. And so I missed the Saint Elsewhere finale.
Oh no.
And I have, and then since heard about it,
Hmm.
and people were so disappointed. I've never gone back and watched the finale. I was
Good.
sitting here listening,
Good.
going, I should watch that, even though I know what happens,
No,
just to say I've done
don't.
that.
Hmm.
Yeah. So,
Don't.
yeah. And
It'll infuriate you.
and once again, I have rewatched Quantum Leap's finale multiple times, each thinking, maybe I'm just remembering this wrong. And each time I'm like, this is so
Depressing.
horrible. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
very depressing with no resolution at all.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you have a favorite one or
Yeah. Lou, do you got a
or
favorite you
are
want
Okay,
to
we
share?
yes.
just gonna
So
do that?
this would be my third one. I was initially going to go with one series, but then I remembered another series that I liked better. So the series that I was going to go with is one with a divisive ending, and that would be Lost. That initially I was going to go with that one because I was a character person. I wasn't really a mystery person, so I was satisfied with that ending. But then I remembered another series that I don't think is really nearly as well known, and that is a German series on Netflix called Dark. And
Mm,
it is a similar show to Lost in the mythology, but it involves more, it's a time traveling show and it's much more complex. If you think 12 Monkeys is complex, The Dark is like probably one of the most complex shows I've watched. It has something to do with two missing children, a nuclear power plant, a weird clock, and all the interrelationships between four families. And it's really well done. It's in German, so you have to watch it subtitled, which is probably why it's not as known over here. But I just think that the series finale was fantastic. It involves sacrifices and it made me cry, and it's got some because it's in another country, it's got a different perspective on things, how we look at certain things, but the bonds between the characters are still there, and it's got some really striking imagery. It might be a bit of a slog for some people at times, but I highly recommend it. It's just really well done, and it's only 3 seasons, so it's not 7 or 8 seasons or anything like that. And but my God, there's just some beautiful imagery and some great acting and some really poignant tear your heart out moments in it as well because you've got that dynamic of people being able to go back to points in their lives where something traumatic happened and they have to watch it as a observer or they can't take part in it without really messing up timelines and things like that. So it's just a really wonderful series and I highly recommend it. Everyone check it out.
yeah, I've heard such good things about Dark. It's one of those that I'm like, I hate subtitled because I can't just sit and let it go while I'm working or
I've
whatever.
actually started the habit of putting subtitles on for everything.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
because
me
in
And
our
too.
house,
Yeah.
like
so
if the
good.
furnace kicks in or the dishwasher's going, sometimes I can't hear every word. I don't know if that's an aging thing. I think it's the way they mix shows
No.
nowadays as well. But I just like to be able to say, did they say what I thought they said? And I could quickly look at the subtitles. Okay, they did say that, or they didn't say it.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So,
I think it's super
uh,
valuable.
yeah.
I started doing that with Aaron Sorkin shows because I didn't want to
Mm,
miss anything
Yeah.
that was said. Yeah.
Yeah.
yep.
And but I would
Yeah.
say for these kind of shows, watch them in their original language with the subtitles. Don't watch dub versions because that just is the words don't match the mouth.
Yeah.
And that throws me off even more. And plus,
Okay.
there's the emotion of the characters that other actors just might not be able to recapture because of the different languages and that. So I always watch the original language with subtitles.
Yeah, you miss nuances and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You or me, Karen?
You go for it.
All right. Boy, I'm torn between two. So luckily, we're going to be able to talk about our honorable mentions. But I'm going to go with always Friday Night Lights. I loved Friday Night Lights, and they kept thinking they were going to get canceled. So, like, the end of the first season would be a pretty good finale. The end of the third season, second season, they got stuck by a strike. It was not as strong. There wasn't a good ending. Third, they were just sure they were going to get canceled. They had a really strong ending, and then they got renewed for two seasons. And so the fifth season, they know they were gone, had a very great season. If you have not seen the series, I recommend it strongly. They're short seasons. It is not about football, even though it is football. And I coached Coach Taylor, Kyle Chandler, who is Hal Jordan in the new Green Lantern TV series,
Mm.
Britton, who plays Tammy Taylor. Michael B. Jordan is very active in
Hmm.
the last three seasons. New Oscar winner. Jesse Plemons is many seasons now a Emmy nominated. The casting and the acting is great. It is a show filmed a very different way. They told them there's no blocking. They just, okay, know your lines and let's start doing. And they have three or four cameras going and they just film them. Amazing show, amazing ending. Clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose. I love this series.
Great choice. I wish I had predicted that for you, but
I could
it's a
have predicted that
no-brainer.
for you, but yeah.
Yeah.
We do know
Fantastic.
each other, don't we?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Adrian Palicki, who was in
Yes.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and what's his name from Zach Gilford, who is
Yes.
also in some
Midnight
of the
Mass.
Midnight Mass. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
A great cast of characters. I just couldn't get into the series. I watched about half of the first season, and I acknowledge how great of a cast it was. It's fantastic. I wish I could have gotten into it a little bit more. I think it's the sports thing for me.
Yeah.
I like sports, but it was that kind of,
Hmm.
please excuse me, but Texas is way into like college and high school
Sure.
football,
Yeah.
right? So I didn't grow up with that, but I think that's a great choice for you.
Yeah. And you maybe starting season three might be an interesting
Okay.
way to start and
Less
everything. Yeah.
Sparks,
But
is that
yeah,
it?
Taylor Kitsch, Amy Teagarden. Yeah. It is so many great characters. Scott Porter.
Oh
So
yeah,
yeah,
I love Scott Porter.
truly, truly wonderful.
Yeah, okay. Maybe I'll give it another shot.
Yeah.
Anything to add, Lou?
No, never seen it.
Okay.
Though I've heard good things about it from Jesse Locke.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like you, the sports thing
Yeah.
and being a Canadian football is just not that whole
Yeah,
mentality. I guess if it was, I could relate it to a hockey thing probably, but
Yeah.
it would
sure.
probably work just as well. But
It would have,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Okay. Now I'm gonna pick one that I don't know if you guys could have predicted, but you probably did. Schitt's Creek. Happy
Yes.
ending.
Yeah.
Okay. It makes me cry every time I watch it. It's even more bittersweet now that we've lost Catherine O'Hara. This show, it Again, it was much deeper than it seemed. You have Dan Levy and Eugene Levy in it together, so there's a dynamic. And also his daughter is in it. There's oh, and Catherine O'Hara and Eugene Levy have always been a great pairing. They were in a lot of movies together, and I feel like this whole cast was made to play things together. We also have, and I think it's funny that we talked about 12 Monkeys because Emily, oh man, why can I not remember her last name? Hold on a minute.
She played the crazy girl in 12 Monkeys.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
She is his best friend who doesn't start out that way. I think her character is amazing in this. We have also Alexis is an amazing character. We get to see her growth from a shallow Paris Hilton type to wanting to stand on her own 2 feet, starting her own business, becoming this powerhouse. Also, in the episode just before this, she and her happily ever after ended up breaking up, which I think was an interesting choice. And it really fit with her character, even though it was heart-wrenching. Alexis and Ted, I thought, were couple goals. We do get David and his the love of his life as well, which Patrick seeing his arc also was fantastic. And in this episode, they get married. There's so many funny parts to this, happy endings. Not only does it refer to the fact that we're wrapping up the show, but Patrick ends up booking a massage for David, and happy endings comes in there as well, which Patrick didn't pay for, but it's something that David got. If you guys know what I'm talking about. So on the day of their wedding, he gets a happy ending from a massage technician. Alexis, it's a black and white themed wedding, and Alexis ends up not knowing, but getting a wedding dress to walk him down the aisle. So it looks like they're the ones getting married, the brother and sister. And there's lots of funny moments in it, but I loved it. After this whole mess of him getting this thing and Patrick just being completely upset by it, at the end of the episode, when they say their vows, Patrick says the words to a song that they've sung to each other over the seasons, Simply the Best by Tina Turner. And David apparently wrote his vows on the spot because he says, Patrick, you are my happy ending.
Aw.
And it ends up with Moira and Eugene Levy, I'm sorry, Catherine O'Hara and Eugene Levy going off to their new home in New York. They have money now. They're leaving, even though they've all wanted to go back to this wealthy lifestyle. David is staying in Schitt's Creek with Patrick. We don't know where Alexis is going. She might go to New York. She started this new business, and there's a partnership between the Roses and Emily. God,
Stevie
why can
Budd.
I not remember her?
Emily,
Johnny. Yes,
Stevie,
Stevie. Sorry.
Stevie Budd.
Stevie.
Emily Hampshire.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Stevie ends up they decided they're going to buy a string of motels and fix them up like they did with the motel that the Roses have been living in. And she is going to stay behind to do the legwork there while he runs the business. It's just such a happy ending all around. And it just really, it wrenches my heart every time I watch it. This is one of those shows that I didn't want to end, but they ended it on such a great note that it's hard for me to complain. And I'm 100% sure it's not on either of your lists, but
Oh,
it's definitely way up there on mine. So,
cool. I've always been puzzled by your affection for the show because I've watched a couple of episodes of it, and I find it very Canadian. I find it very
yeah, it
stilted.
is.
Yeah, I know, Canadian in the kind of cheesy, corny way. But hey, the more power to you. I like the individual actors quite a bit. I just their characters just didn't do anything for me. So
They're not likable.
they're
There's
very,
almost no one
I
likable
find
in the
them very
show.
cliche, to be honest. But
Mm,
I'm not going to rain on your parade. I know you love the show, and
sure.
that's fantastic. And let's hear it for Canada.
Yeah.
Definitely. Like I said, I've said before that I grew up watching not only Saturday Night Live, but SCTV, which was on
Yeah,
a local station
yeah.
in my town. And so I have such an affection for the cast of SCTV. I'll watch almost anything that they are in. And this was one of those shows that drew me in. And I agree, there's some shallowness in it, but the character arcs are amazing. And when you end up seeing where they start and where they finish, it's such a triumph. I get it. I do get it.
Yeah, it is one of the series that it is one on my list that I know I want to watch. My lovely bride Linda watched it and she loved it. It's just once again
Yeah,
too many shows, not enough time. But yeah.
I get it. I get it.
Yep.
It's well worth a watch, though,
Yeah.
I have to say. It became such a hit, a sleeper hit.
Yes.
And
After it sweep the Emmys, right?
yeah, it was one of those things where I felt like a hipster where I was like, I watched it from the beginning kind of thing. But it was so great, I thought. And then they had a retrospective kind of sitting around a table discussing the show special afterwards, which again, it makes me cry. They read some letters from fans where people have said, I had the courage to come out because of your show. And it's just the impact that it had on people really struck me as well. So I'm
Yeah.
sorry, it's a sitcom, but
No,
I
it's
just
great.
loved it.
Good.
Yeah. The only I figured I was not surprised that you picked that. The only one I was thinking you might have picked instead would have been Parks and Rec.
It's on my honorable mentions.
Oh, okay.
So there's that.
Okay.
All right, we want to go through. Why don't we start with you, Lou, your honorable mentions?
Like I said, Lost, obviously. I think Farscape. Babylon 5 was pretty good, even though the show was more up and down than other series to compare it against. Trying to think of anything else here. I think that's pretty well it. I'm looking through there's an IMDb list of the top
Yeah,
finales. I'm surprised like I think if it was more average TV watchers from the perspective that people that don't feel the urge to get on a podcast and talk about TV shows, I think like the
Sure.
list here that they've got Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad, The Sopranos, The Friends, Scrubs, Angels, Supernatural, Parks and Rec. What else is
surprised
here?
you didn't pick Fringe.
Community.
Fringe, I was going to mention Fringe too.
Fringe would be potentially pretty good, but I think they blew the last scene, so I always leaves a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth. Like when they get the envelope and Peter opens up the envelope and sees the white tulip. Olivia's not in the scene. It's hardly, she's way back in the background. Like they should have opened that together. That should have been a shared
Yeah,
moment between the two of them because the show started out with her as the main character and it just gradually over time pushed her to the side a little bit as the Peter Walter dynamic came to the forefront. So that one's just, again,
Okay, fair enough.
one scene too long.
Okay, good.
But
yeah.
yeah,
I agree with you on Lost.
Yeah,
It was one of
Spartacus
those
had a
shows I
good
was,
ending.
oh, okay.
yeah.
That's cool.
Spartacus, yeah. Just scrolling through here. It's hard to remember a lot of these series.
I did agree. I just rewatched the end of Breaking Bad, the final scene, because I was going to watch the El Camino movie finally.
Mm,
So I do agree that Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul both had great endings. The Tomorrow, the last West Wing episode, was I wanted to pick between it and Friday Night Lights. I love that ending. The Leftovers, the Book of Nora, was a
mm.
series that I really thought ended well. And then two shows that I don't think many people watched, but Travelers, which was on Netflix,
Oh,
very interesting science fiction show. I think it had a good ending. And then speaking of very Canadian shows, Becoming Erica
No.
is a show
hmm.
that I absolutely adored. I stumbled on that. I don't even remember what channel it was watching, and it it is a very different time travel. You, you talking about the
Mm.
dark reminded me, if you haven't watched Becoming Erica and you're a fan of time travel, it's a unique take on it. And the
Yeah.
character, it really is interesting because when this world of where characters don't change, this character goes through an incredibly strong change, and it feels definitely like a novel.
Yeah,
So,
I watched that show. I didn't like the change, so that's why I don't
okay,
mention it too often. But it was well done, and it was an interesting twist on the time
travel, yep.
travel theory. Yep.
And I love the actress who played the lead.
Yes. Yeah. She was just in that Smoke. Was it Smoke with Tyler Cucci?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
she was. Yeah.
All right. How about you, Karen? Any bring us home.
Yeah, there might be some surprises here. I'm also a huge fan of British TV, and I watched Blackadder. I loved Blackadder, Rowan Atkinson, Stephen Fry, Hugh Laurie, and the finale was them launching into the fray, and it was very serious. The ending is them like joining the war and going over the edge and most likely giving their lives for their country. It was an amazingly poignant episode. So I love that. It's called Plan F Goodbye, literally with a bunch of E's at the end. Parks and Rec, One Less Ride. It was, they went into the future and they looked back on their lives a little bit. I remember it was in 2015 and the show goes to 2017. And I thought, I can't wait to get to 2017. And now that's 10 years ago almost. Friends, the last one, that was good as well. 6 Feet Under, Everyone's Waiting, was so just emotional. And at the end, it shows each main character's death. And that's such a fitting ending for that series that deals with death in every episode. It makes me cry. And my last one would be the Fleabag finale. That was great as well, I'm assuming. Hello?
Hi.
No, yeah,
You burped for a second there. You
yeah.
said the Fleabag
Okay.
finale was.
The Fleabag finale was great. We have a resolution with her falling in love with the priest where they separate, and that's bittersweet. And then the fact that her family relationships have gotten so much better. And then the wink, the breaking the fourth wall ending with her looking back and saying, I'm done, looking at the camera, go, that kind of Ferris Bueller type thing. Go home. It's all good. This is the end of my story. They were, all of these were fantastic. So I don't know if you guys have any feelings, especially about 6 Feet Under. I don't know if and
I haven't
either of
seen
you
it.
watched it.
No.
I had given up on Six
Mm.
Feet Under because I realized there was no one on the show I liked.
Oh
Uh,
no.
I know, but I do understand. I have seen the ending, and that is a perfect way to end a series that is about, a funeral home. So I thought that was very good.
Right.
Yeah, and as we talked about, right, endings are hard. And I think it was cool that we had so many, and I've got a whole list now of people like, okay, I need to check out these series.
Yep. More
Yeah,
stuff to do. Great.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yes.
same. I think I'm
Yeah,
going to take the plunge and watch Dark.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. So with that, I think this was a great episode. I
Hmm.
absolutely.
loved
Lots of
talking to you
fun.
guys
Yeah.
about this, and I'm glad you gave to my request.
No, it's
So with
great.
that, I'm going to say goodbye to our listeners, and I'm going to go around the table here. You can email us at jklmediareviews@gmail.com. I am at Alvaria on social media. So what about you, Lou? Where can people find you?
You can find us on our YouTube page at JKL Media, and we have our ongoing discussion of The Expanse. I've seen the series before. Karen and Jesse are first time through, so we're having lots of fun with that. Waiting for a return of Pluribus and Severance, and we're doing the occasional one-offs like this episode, and perhaps our next one will be Project Hail Mary. We'll have to see. And beyond that, you can find me on my YouTube channel, Lou's Reviews, where I I have the Stephen King podcast, my writers interview podcast, as well as all our archived episodes of Babylon 5, including the animated movie. And on Twitter and X, you can find me at Lou W. Sitzma, Sytsma.
Awesome. How about you, Jesse?
I am at Jesse Jackson DFW on most social media. You can find me on Facebook, Louisville, Texas, where I am talking about the new Springsteen tour that is happening. And it's a little over a month, and I get to hug Karen in person.
Whew.
So
Yay! I'm
very
so
excited
happy.
about that. Yes. So please check out Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast, where Charles Skaggs and I are continuing to talk Doctor Who and all that implies. And please tell us what next one off you'd like us to cover by reaching out to us. Karen?
Sure, we're game.
Exactly.
So with that, I'm gonna say goodbye and we'll see you real soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And see.
The proceeding has been a JKL Media production.